All right.
Good to go?
Good to go.
Here we go.
Mhm.
All right. We are here. We are here. Sorry for the delay. Cranium Festival and Conference 2021. I will be hosting this session. My name is Jugga, aka Patrick McCormack. Very, very pleased to introduce our presenter today. We've got none other than the big homie Gee Wunder. Gee Wunder, also known as Greg Baptiste, is a music industry veteran and motivational hip hop artist from Toronto. Gee grew up in an urban environment on Jane Street in the west end of the city, which sparked his interest in hip hop music. Gee's first inroads into the music industry as an artist was through local community radio. Since debuting on commercial radio in Toronto in 2005 on Flow 93.5 and releasing his full-length LP Street Knowledge in 2008 on UrbNet Records, Gee has released an astounding 29 full-length projects in total and has gone on to found his own successful independent label, Motive Music Canada. Over the years, Gee has toured across Canada doing live shows in many provinces as well as shows in Europe and America. Gee has received financial support for his career from MuchFact, SEMA, Factor, and the SOCAM Foundation, and he's seen significant national radio play with commercial airplay in Toronto, Montreal, and Winnipeg, as well as over 50 Canadian college chart appearances at 18 radio stations. Complementing his music career, Gee has also had an exemplary career in music television, having worked in video music programming with Bell Media for over 20 years. Gee has published two written booklet publications, Industry Tips, Starting Your Own Independent Label in Canada in 13 Easy Steps, and Music Industry Tips Volume 2 for artists, producers, and label types. Today, Gee runs his Motive Music Canada label with a roster of 7 artists and a catalog of over 40 full-length quality hip-hop releases. In 2019, Gee launched management, the Motive Music Canada promo and publishing, MMC publishing arms of his record label. In 2020, Gee released 3 albums and performed at the Northern Touch Music Festival and presented his virtual music industry tips seminar at the 2020 Cranium Music Festival and
Festival.
Conference. So my dude, we're so glad
Yes.
to have you here today. Thank you to everyone for joining us. We really appreciate your patience with us. We know we started a little bit late, so let's just jump right into this, my dude.
Yes. Thanks, Patrick. Thanks for having me. Can you hear me?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Okay, dope. Shout out everybody that's tuning in Toronto, in Canada, in Ottawa, and the world. Shout out to everybody. You've now tuned into the Music Industry Tips, a booklet virtual seminar 2021 Cranium Music Festival edition. And this year is actually part 2, as I presented a similar seminar last year that was very successful, I must say, which was actually, I have to go on and brag and say is the most viewed video on the Cranium website at the moment. So hopefully this year we'll be able to get this even bigger than last year. So yes, Motive Music Canada proudly presents Gee Wunder's Music Industry Tips Seminar. So first of all, I want to thank the founders of Cranium Festival, Justin Gunderson, aka Dynamic, aka Your Favorite Light Skin, aka his new artist name Jay Morris. He's the one that started this whole festival, so shout him out for actually having the idea to start it. And I'd also like to thank Patrick McCormack, who just gave me that stellar introduction, who's also the second in charge over there and who's always supported my career and what I'm about to present to you guys today. So what we're going to do, seeing as this is the Cranium Festival, excuse me, we're going to do a giveaway. We're going to do a t-shirt giveaway. It won't be this fabulous Gee Wunder t-shirt here, but we got a new drop that we're going to be giving away today. And the t-shirts you can get with the purchase of either Industry Tips Volume 1 or Industry Tips Volume 2. So you would just have to pay the shipping. So if you're interested in that, add Gee Wunder on IG or Motive Music Canada on IG, and just send us a DM and say you want to take advantage of the Cranium 2021 t-shirt special. Also, other than that, we'll also be doing a booklet, the actual booklet giveaways. We have 2 booklets. Volume 1 came out 2016, Volume 2 came out 2019. So we'll be able to do a giveaway for those in the actual digital format, which for the first one, it would be in DocX, and the second one would be a PDF. So for the first 5 people that add Gee Wunder on IG, GeeWunder, add me on IG, add Motive Music Canada on IG, and send either account a note just saying that you want your free booklet and tell me the name of this virtual seminar. So before we get into the actual seminar, once again, shout out to Patrick, and I'm going to give you a little bit of short bio about myself, some stuff that he may have missed. I actually grew up in Toronto on Jane Street and went to high school at Runnymede Collegiate. For those of you that know Toronto, you'll know that's at like Jane and St. Clair. I graduated from high school and went on to do my post-secondary education at York University and a joint program with Seneca College. So in so doing, I took 5 years, and after 5 years, I came out with a university degree and a college degree, and decided to follow my career in television production. So when I graduated, I got in touch with one of my mentors, who's one of the best, actually the best Black on-air news person in Toronto, named Dwight Drummond. He works for the CBC. He hooked me up, got me in down at Bell Media, which at that time was still known as Chum. I did a quick story, and then I applied for a job, and I got in right off of that application. So in my professional career so far, I've only really worked at one place, which was Much Music, which became Bell Media. And I did that until 2017. And then in 2017, I moved on, and I started to concentrate more on Motive Music Canada, the label. Speaking of Motive Music Canada was founded in 2008. And I got my first record deal with UrbNet in 2008. In 2009, I started Motive. And 2011, I got a distribution deal with Fontana North / Universal here in Toronto, which lasted until 2017 as well. And now we're completely independent with independent distribution. As far as my own career, shout out Patrick once again, but just to update what he said, now I'm, since 2020, right now, we're in October, early October. I'm going to be releasing my 39th album, full-length album called Future Beats Volume 7 in October. So that gives you a little bit more about me and my history within the music industry in front of and behind the scenes. So now we'll get into the seminar. The first 2 volumes of the Music Industry Tips booklet series were published by my company, Motive Music Canada, in 2016 and 2019, respectively. Volume 1 outlines 13 easy steps to starting your own independent label in Canada, while Volume 2 speaks more specifically to producers, artists, and label types. My intention behind writing these booklets was to share a little bit of the insight and information that I've gained in my over 20 years in the Canadian music industry. The genesis of this booklet actually came to light from me posting on Facebook. So I would post just my thoughts and ideas on the music industry and my angles and my tips. And all of a sudden, I got a lot of interest from artists hitting me up online, on my Twitter, on my Facebook. And that's when I knew I was onto something. And then I decided to create my first booklet. My actual experience in front of and behind the scenes goes deep. You can imagine after 20 years. After a 20-year tenure with Bell Media at Much Music in 2017, and running my own label, Motive Music Canada, since 2009. So the booklets have been very successful since their releases, with lots of great feedback from artists and music industry types. Volume 1 of the booklet was sponsored by SOCAN Foundation in 2018 for its second physical run. Seeing an educational void in the urban side of the Canadian music industry, I decided to write this booklet, and it's now accompanying industry tips seminars, which I was doing live, but since the pandemic, I've been doing virtually. With these seminars, it's always my aim to share some type of tips for everyone, whether you're a brand new artist, which I probably have the most tips for you, or whether you're a seasoned artist, because as you know, we get to learn every day. I've been in the music business 20 years, and I can tell you the amount of things that I've learned since 2020 to now have definitely increased my portfolio and the value of my company. Industry tips seminars have previously been presented at various music conferences, including 2017 Cut Connects, 2017 Canadian Urban Music Festival, aka T-Dot Fest, 2018 Northern Power Summit, etc., etc. Also, we did the International Indigenous Hip Hop Awards this year. Shout out to Chris Sharp. They'll be coming with part 2 this year. So for any artists that are Indigenous, I'd say go and sign up for the International Indigenous Hip Hop Awards and get some traction. Now we'll get into the seminar itself. So the first tip we're gonna go over today would be networking / attending places where your music is getting traction. So this is actually tip number 7 in the industry tips booklet, which is you can actually get. We have it in limited edition copies right now, not too many, but you can still get it digitally. So in here I said, once you've established a resume of live shows in your own area, it's time to go OT. Getting shows in other cities can take a combination of strong networking mixed with a little bit of luck. If your music is popping on various forms of media, you'll find booking these shows can be a bit easier. But remember, these shows are often unpaid, which means executing them can be more expensive, especially when other budgetary concerns are taken into consideration, like travel, food, lodging, etc. But it's important that the artist or the team vision the upside of the total show expense. These being an expanded industry network, potential new shows after doing those shows in that market, new contacts, sales revenue, future sales revenue, and added value to the artist's imaging. Taking those things into consideration is going to let you know if it's cost effective for you to do this trip or whatever as per your business plan. And I would also advise people that are going into a new territory to hit up DJs, friends, artists, and promoters in other cities for potential show leads, festivals, etc. that you may not be aware of. So this is actually one of the most important things in the music industry, obviously, is our relationships. So when you're attending these places where you know, okay, let's say you're getting radio play in Alberta because you have a radio DJ that's playing your stuff out there. Now you're going to go out there and you're going to meet all the industry players in that one town or city and make your name known. That's going to help you in more ways than you can even imagine. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to give you a couple of examples how this worked for me. In 2017, I attended the New School Rules Festival in the Netherlands. And I actually had to go all the way to the Netherlands to meet someone from Toronto, a young lady by the name of Charlie Wall Andrews, who worked at SOCAN Foundation. So in me doing so, going there to meet Charlie, I was able to access SOCAN Foundation. So when we came back to Toronto, I told her about my booklet, and she gave me some ideas on what kind of funding I could access at SOCAN Foundation. So I put in an application, and they funded the second printing of my Industry Tips booklet, which you can see has already gone on to bring in more and more interest, and has brought me to this day today where I'm doing this live seminar with you guys. Second example of how attending these places outside of your own comfort zone works. I have now an artist that I met called, his name is Del Opaque, and he's from Winnipeg. So in 2018, I attended the Northern Touch Music Festival in Winnipeg, and I met Del. We met with no real intentions, just to stay in touch and follow each other's music. Fast forward to 2021, he puts up a post on his Facebook inquiring about artists that are interested in accessing grants. And I'm like, ding, 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 ding. Because anytime I hear the G word, that's what I want to hear, grants, not the L word. The L word is loans. I'll stick with the grants because there's so many to take advantage of. So he said he wanted to take advantage of some grants. And for me, that's perfect because my company has just moved into a new area, which is grants this year. And so now with him, we're going to partner, and we've already submitted one grant at CCFA within 30 days of actually talking on the Facebook Messenger. So we'll be working on other grants nationally and provincially with him. So there's another example of networking that worked. And the third example I have is in 2014, I went to Canadian Music Week in Toronto, which I had used to always go to through my work because it was sponsored by my work. And I met a gentleman named Andrew, can't recall his last name right now, but he has a company called Industry Corp, which was a media company working out of Kitchener. And if you know, Kitchener is like our new Silicon Valley, let's say. So just meeting with him after seeing him at a showcase and having a drink with him, I was able to license 3 songs to him, which went on to give me great income for 3 years of royalties. So there's 3 examples right there of how networking and attending markets outside of your own home can help you. So that would be tip number 1. Let's go on, let's move on. Patrick, are you there? I guess Patrick's not there. So we're gonna move on to, oh, you're there? I just wanted to know if you had anything to input or anything that you wanted to comment or say. I'm gonna jump back in a moment. I have some background noise going on here, so I'm gonna quiet my son down, but I'll jump in. Okay, no problem. Okay. All right, cool. So now we're gonna move on to the second tip of the night. Actually, let me go over and let you guys know what the tips for the night are going to be. Next, we're going to go into accounting 101, and then we'll move on to exploiting your beat/song catalog, which is a big one for producers. Then we'll move on to getting your songs played by DJs, and our last tip will be about administration rights, which is very important. Okay, so now we're going to move on to Accounting 101. This is a short introduction to the basics of money management in music, and more specifically in the urban music environment. Many smaller startups overlook the importance of creating some kind of accounting system. There are multiple reasons that a music company will have to have some type of reference database that documents your cash flow. In Canada, for instance, this information is often beneficial for filing your business taxes, whether that be via your own name as a self-proprietor or as a corporation or limited liability corporation. It's also important to keep track of your receipts and proof of purchases for business-related purchases in order to claim them when filing your taxes. Another time a business may need to access this type of accounting information, which is often happens in my world, is grant completion. This will likely differ from granting body to granting body nationally and provincially, But overall, it's going to be the same idea. So what happens with these granting bodies is they'll they'll give you a grant and they'll say you're good to go with the grant. But what happens is there's always something called a completion. Completion happens after you've already received the money and long after you've already attended whatever event is or you've done whatever music you've had to do to get this grant. There's a completion. So with the completion, they're going to ask you for all of your accounting. So it's important to keep track of this stuff. I know for artists, it's not the most fun thing. There's a lot of other things to do, but if you don't do it, you're going to have to get somebody on your team to do this. Another example of this, especially this year, which is great to reference, is COVID-19. COVID-19 has created so much emergency funding at these grant bodies that even I can't keep up. The latest one, I'll give you a tidbit, was Factor had their emergency funding for artists and various other music industry stockholders that just expired September 9th. And that was probably the third amount of money that they've given out. If you guys recall, the government said they were giving out probably $100 million in money for the arts, especially music, for people because of COVID, because of all the money that we've lost through the live networking, et cetera, right? So now these companies have been giving them out. But here's the catch, to go back to accounting 101. All of these companies, if you want to access this money, they're going to ask you for your paperwork, whether it be in the version format, in the format of a financial sheets, or some of them also will accept your taxes, but some people haven't done their latest taxes. So it's also very important to keep up on your taxes. So there's two examples right there of where accounting is very important. And for us at Motive, we do a lot of travel grants, showcase grants. So when the artists come back and then they get their grant, we need to see everything that they've paid for. And we're not talking just receipts, we're talking proof of purchase. The difference between receipts and proof of purchase is a proof of purchase is going to show exactly who paid for the actual service or product and who received the money. So that's what they want to see at these funding agencies. For a new company, the documenting doesn't have to be very complex. It's simple as, or maybe not so simple as, accounting and documenting for every transaction that occurs as a result of your business. Easy as writing down every time you receive money, as well as every time you spend money. There are apps and programs that can help with this task of keeping track of your profits and expenses. Overall, keeping an effective accounting record will give you a clear view at the end of the year how your company is doing, whether it's profitable or not. It's commonly said that a business only becomes profitable after the first minimum 5 years of operation. I would agree with this settlement for sure. With that statement for sure, because that's how it works overall in life in pretty much everything. But the good news is that you can totally trump this 5 years in the music industry with one hit. So make your hit, man. Make your hit and get your money. P, you there or what, man?
I'm here, brother. I'm here.
Yeah, I just want to say, because for me, it's like when I do these seminars, I'm so used to doing it in live and people interacting. So it's a little weird when I'm just talking to the screen. So it's good to have you there.
Yeah, man. Something was really resonating with me when you were talking about, keeping records, and then you mentioned like it doesn't have to be complicated, and that's so true. Like over the years, I've had to learn all of those skills in order to keep, some of the platforms that I'm involved with going, right? Just administration, and we know that's something that's really lacking in our community. So I was wondering, like, what kind of tips or advice can we give to, like, people who are on the come up? I'm not even going to say younger people, because it's not necessarily younger people, but
That's
in many
right.
cases it is, but what kind of tips and advice can we give to people on, maybe on either developing those skills themselves or how to like build a team of people who can bring some of that to the table, because you and I, we know how key it is to developing success in this industry, really any industry, but we're talking about the music industry. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So I say the first thing is like it's so simple, because for me, when I started at Much, there was this lady that was my boss, and her thing was like she would write down every single thing that she was going to do without in the day, and I was like, "What the hell are you doing? Excuse me, who has time for that?" But as I went on, I started to adopt that same idea. And then when it came to the music, I was like, you know what? I'm going to do the same thing. So it's so simple. All I do is create a new email, title it 2020 Motive Music Canada. And for everything that comes in or out of my company, I write it down. So for a new artist, do it. And if you can't do it yourself, like Patrick says, you're going to have to get a team. So if you're lucky enough to have a manager, you're going to have to get your manager to follow, actually, you're going to have to tell them what you spent and all this stuff. And you know what? Overall, I would advise artists to take control of these things. These are the kind of things where you hear in 20 years, an artist is like, oh, this person took the money from me. Da, 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 da. You know why they took the money? Because you were too damn lazy to follow up and just look.
Word.
You know what I mean? So get yourself a team. And if you get a team, make sure it's somebody you can trust when it comes to money, because when it comes to money in the music industry, you will get burned.
Mm-hmm. We hear that so many times, and it's not only for like the super successful. It could be like emerging artists, and people like there's shystiness over money at every layer in the game, right? And that really goes to show, like, even people who are super successful. And what did J. Cole say recently? He said he got to pay someone to watch the people who are doing the bookkeeping.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You got to pay somebody to watch the people that are watching your money.
Yeah. And you got to hire a lawyer that will like vet your lawyer. So this lawyer's job is to make sure that the other lawyer is like doing the job like in your best interest and not working behind the scenes to like benefit the big labels
themselves. Exactly.
So, like that really goes to show the point is like, if you want to be in this industry, like, yes, of course you got to focus on your art, of course, but you have to spend a certain amount of time reading, taking seminars, like music industry tips. You know what I mean?
That's right. That's right.
Develop a bit of understanding, like at least a baseline level, so that the playing field is a place where you can play on the field, and you're not going to have just like complete blindness with people out there taking advantage of you, right? So that's like really, that drives it home, man.
Exactly. So accounting 101. Thanks for your input on that, Patrick. Accounting 101 overall, the idea is control your own damn money. Don't be lazy about your own money. And like Patrick said, this music is all, it seems like glamour and glitz. Everybody wants to be the biggest artist. But if you don't control your own business, somebody else is going to get the bulk of that money that you make when you become a star. So we're going to move on now to the next tip, which is the third tip from today. And this tip is from Industry Tips Volume 2. And this one is Industry Tip number 22 overall. And it's called Exploit Your Beat/Song Catalog. So this is for primarily artists, producers, and even label owners, right? So as you create more and more records, you should find yourself wanting to do some business with these productions and these songs, these pieces of ownership. But don't let the songs just sit there and age like fine wine. If you're a prolific producer or artist, don't worry about one song, even if it's a hit, because you're gonna need a follow-up. So release the recording and move on to the next record quickly, especially in today's climate. Today ain't 1985 where artists released one album every 3 years. Those days are dead, so get with the times. Many independent artists release songs or projects, promote them for a few weeks, then move on to the next song, or just don't do the song/project promotional justice. It's always important to continue to exploit your catalog at all times. whether that be by posting older songs on social media or pitching your songs for TV, film, video games, or other media licensing. These are all usually secured through a third party, but you can still secure these things yourself if you have a business savvy. Like I told you, I gave you the example in the first tip. Also, you can re-release successful songs that you think didn't get their initial shine or push that they deserved, and repackage or remix said recordings. As a new artist, add a new artist to the remix, create new artwork, and do another minimum month-long promotional push. An example of this from a producer's angle for me is my retail full-length beat series called Future Beats. Future Beats is a series which I began in 2016, the same year I began these booklets. I created this series because I was tired of shopping my beats, getting a few sales, and recording / collaborating on a few others, which was amazing, don't get me wrong, it was dope, but not happening enough for my liking. With my biggest pet peeve with these artists being me creating all these beats, sending them the beats, then following up with them 2 weeks to a month later for them to just tell me they haven't even listened to them yet. That does not work with my work ethic. Anybody that works with me knows I'm very impatient and I'm a very fast worker. So that wasn't cutting it for me. So what I decided to do was exploit more of my catalog. I decided to make my extra beats for sale and streaming. Doing so has created income on recordings that would have otherwise been just collecting digital dust on my terabyte drive. And by selling these beats, my own future beats, also my label's beats, because a lot of the artists on my label do instrumental albums. Another thing that this does is it will solicit interest in your beats and solicit artists to get used to your sound and possibly buy your beats. I can give you an example of this. This happened in 2020, last year, for one of my producers, Nostradamus. Shout out Nostradamus. We put out an album and I was doing promo on it, and an artist saw the promo and snatched up the beat one time. Shout out to T Grams on that too. That was his lead single off of his album. So those are a couple examples of ideas, right? Or maybe you want to follow the lead of Motive music producer Beats by Hamid and remix other artists' songs and send it directly to them. You never know where that's going to get you. It might get you signed to their production company, or it might get you doing a whole album for them. As well, I'm sure you can find other exciting ways to monetize the music you've created. The idea is just to get creative. So yeah, overall with this tip, exploring your beat song catalog, the overall idea is to take control of your catalog, whether it be in terms of licensing, publishing, etc. And please note that publishing is much bigger than just SoCal. P, what up?
Yeah, man. So many jewels you're dropping right now, man. I'm just soaking it up because although this is a lot of stuff that I've heard before, because I take it upon myself to frequent seminars and to read books and to watch videos on YouTube that are actually educational. There's always another thing that you always bring something else to the table or a way of explaining things. So I appreciate that. And
thank you.
It's also really dope. Like when I heard about like just when you're talking about putting out even instrumental albums to just have the product out there so that people know it's available, and so it's something that you can knock on doors with, sort of, right? It creates relationships. It's a way to get things moving, collaborations, as you mentioned. And then, like, man, the one thing that I'm so glad you said it is that people will just like release music and throw a little promo here or there, and then they move on to the next, and they think man, I thought that was going to be the track that was going to help me break out. And I was trying to think about which artist was it. There was an artist, they broke out independently. I'm trying to remember the name of the artist. What was the song? Trap Queen.
Oh, Fetty Wap.
Fetty Wap. And I was listening to an interview with Fetty Wap's manager, and they were just indie back then. And they were saying that they promoted that one single. They just bombarded people mostly with social, inboxing people, sharing it, finding new places, getting it on blogs and vlogs. For 1 year, they promoted Trap Queen. And that, like, after that year of like pushing and pushing and pushing, that song and that name Fetty Wap became so well known that like the industry just wanted to like bring him in, you know, and make him a part of the bigger circles, you know. So that's like
Exactly.
a lesson. You gotta, like, you invest so much in your art and creating that product, you gotta invest like even more into promoting it and putting it out there for people to know it exists. It's not just gonna pop off on its own.
Exactly, 100%. And you know, a lot of new artists tend to fall into that trap. Exactly like you said, though, they'd be like, "Yo, this song, this one is it. This is the song. This is it. This is it." You know what? It most likely it's not it. I don't want to be negative because you have to set goals as an artist overall. We're not even going to get to that, but that's a whole nother thing. But if you feel that that's the record, then promote the damn record, man. Don't just put it out and then don't post it on your IG because you think your label posted it or because somebody else posted it, or be mad at somebody else because they ain't posted it. It's on you to create the buzz on this song. And another point that we bring up that you said is interesting. People put out a song and then don't promote it. I'm even sometimes guilty of that. But the only reason that I'm like that is because it's not my exact approach. My approach is to flood the shit. So even if I put out a song and I only promote it for 2 weeks because I have another single coming out in 2 weeks, I'm pushing everything as hard as possible. You know what I mean? So it's not like I just had one record and then 5 months later I have another record and I didn't promote anything all that time. No, I'm constantly bombarding. But the aim with all these things is people have to open their damn mind. Like, people think that a great thing is a great example is that people say, "Oh, all I want to do is come out and everybody wants to sell on Spotify, right?" Fuck, get a different angle, bro. Like, not everybody's going to be the biggest seller on Spotify. Not everybody's going to sell 1 million records. And even if you do sell 1 million records on Spotify, you're getting $3,000.
Yeah,
so
is like not much.
Yeah, so mans have to use their mind and get creative. There's ways to make the music move and make it work. And most of these ways right now is online, socials. So there's that.
Word up.
But thank you for the feedback on that one there, my brother. As we move on to the next tip, this next tip right here is going to be our third tip of the day. And this one's from volume 2. It's industry tip number 32. I just turned around to look at the screen there, the YouTube, my bad. Industry tip number 32, getting your song played by DJs. So I'm just going to read, first I'm going to read a quote from a Toronto DJ. His name is Jinxie. He says, quote, "For artists, it's not difficult to get radio, mix CD / podcast / DJs to play your tracks. Do your marketing promotion work and get people aware of who you are so people have at least heard of you. Then you can go and approach the mix CD, mix show, etc. DJs to get some spins on their radio shows or their mixes. After you have a buzz with those DJs, then talk to club DJs. Club DJs are not going to likely play songs that no one knows for free. And that's a fact. They ain't even gonna play it really unless everybody knows it usually, right? So another way to get your songs played is to pay. I'm going back to his quote, sorry. Another way to get these songs played is to pay DJs in your local area, pay them $20 to $50. Most of them will play your song at a party. If you're an artist and think you will make it big without investing money in yourself, I'm sorry to say you're not gonna make it that far. Excuse me. This is a business. You need to be ready and be able to invest time, and or money into your product and your brand. End of quote. So Jinxie raises a lot of valid points in that quote. And it's something that a lot of artists may not want to hear. But let me tell you something. Establishing a relationship with DJs is going to be one of the most important things you do as a recording artist. And the more that you can, once again, hold that power in your hands and keep it to yourself and not rely on somebody from your team to do it, you're going to be way more wealthy in the long run. Because if you have to rely on somebody else or somebody else has the link, you can imagine that when you and that person break up, that link is gone with that person. So you need to empower yourself. So in addition to what Jinx says, in my opinion, it's super important to communicate with your DJs. So you got to send them your songs. You got to let them know you have a release. Invite them to your release party. Make sure when you send them your songs, the metadata is correct so you can get paid. Treat your DJs well overall. Send them merch. When you see them at the club, buy them a drink. Say happy birthday to them. When you're sending out stuff or you're quoting something that may have involved them, tag them on social media. I think we all tend to not value enough how important tagging somebody is. Just for someone to tag me or for you to tag someone else, it's going to give that person a good feeling and to know that you've recognized their efforts on the other side. It's one of my biggest pet peeves when artists or people that are involved in a song don't share or comment or do anything or tag people on social media. It's absolutely sickening to me. I hate it. So yeah, when you see them in person, just show them that you're forever grateful for any support that they've ever shown you. And overall, just show love. P, what up?
I'm here. I think it's super important, like college radio, commercial radio, clubs. Now we got the I feel like even like DJs and like maybe now even some of these the people who got the online vlogs and the blogs.
Yes. Yeah.
Like those people are in a similar position where sometimes they'll play your track live, they'll talk about it, they'll even bring you on to talk about yourself. You got to build relationships with these people. Like you said, show them love, show them that you
Show
actually care
love.
about the
Yeah.
opportunity that they give you. You know what I mean? And hey man, I also see like that's something that I'm not going to pontificate it on it too much, but we're in a small market here in Ottawa, right? There's only so many platforms that we got. Shouts to House of Paint. One of their people is in the chat right now. I got a history with House of Paint. I'm involved with Capital Rap Battles. I'm one of the co-founders of that. I'm involved with Cranium, and you see a lot of people who come and go. You get them on your platform, they're there for a minute, they leave, they don't maintain a relationship. You know what I mean? You don't see them sharing your content, you don't see them shouting you out. And like, it's not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's not the right way that that person is going to build themselves either. So I'll take your take on it, because obviously in this case I'm biased, I'm speaking from my personal experience, but I just feel like, because I was once wearing that artist hat too, and at a time when there was very little lanes for hip hop in a place like Ottawa, the group I was with was very successful at that time. By those measures, we sold thousands of copies hand to hand, and we did all the biggest opening shows, and we made it out of the city to do some stuff. We charted on college radio. You know what I mean? It was
What was
very
the name of the group?
enlightening.
What was the name of the group? Sorry to interrupt
Boogaloo
you.
Tribe.
Of course, I've known them. Yeah, okay, I didn't know you were in there.
Oh yeah, I produced the last record we put out, the only full length. I'm the beat maker who put that out. I was basically, I was one of the main driving. There was a couple other key players in that group. Shouts to Mantes, shouts to Villain, shouts to Rockabye. But we had the group changed sort of over the years. Some members came and went, but I was one of the original founders who was there till the end. And Yeah, man, it was really interesting. Like that whole thing with building those relationships, like, man, the college radio DJs, even the club DJs, man, you build a relationship with them. They started, helping us. We helped them. We got to the point where we do co-promotions. You get in the club, you get 400 people in the club paying $10 each. You split that with the DJ, you're doing all right.
You're laughing. There's an example. There's you know what, this business, there's so much stuff that you can do. What you just touched upon is an example of why you got to stay with your DJ. If you're smart and you can build with your DJ. I did the same thing with DJ. Shout out DJ Despair out of Winnipeg. The amount of times I've traveled to Winnipeg and he's traveled here, and we've done exactly what you said. Come together, charge at the door, split the money at the end of the night.
Boom. That's like 1 million streams on Spotify right there in one night.
Yeah, like you know what I mean. Like the Spotify is just to like help you buy some food or something, bro. And on that note, thank you for that. I want to shout out my DJ peoples, DJ Mel Boogie from Toronto, who y'all got on the Cranium Festival. Yeah, she's number one. She is the one. Who else do we got? DJ Jules out of Guelph. Shout out DJ Jules. And I met Jules at Cut Connects here in Toronto. There again, and you know how strongly he and here's another thing with the DJs, right? With the DJs, for me, it's like I've over all these years, I created my own DJ list just from going to all these places. And now, for all these years later, so many of these DJs still support me because of the relationship. And now that I have my label, all the artists on my label benefit from this. Mm-hmm. So they benefit from me being the pioneer and creating these relationships. Yeah. So shout out DJ R Double, who signed to my label, doing a lot of good things. DJ Denise in Vancouver, always holding us down on URP Radio. And also DJ Blaster out of Montreal. Yo, Patrick, man, I forgot to tell these people, yo, make sure you're taking notes when I speak, yo, because I don't mince words and I don't waste words, and I put a lot of nuggets into the stuff that I'm saying.
All those DJ names you just dropped, man. Those are people that get some people some airplay. You know what I mean? Get them played, man. You just dropped a bunch of like gold nuggets right there, bro.
I do this all the time on my Facebook, bro. And the thing is, anybody in Ottawa, let me tell you something. If you're an artist on Cranium Festival right now and you're watching, and you don't meet DJ Mel Boogie in those 3 days, you don't deserve to get played in Toronto, bro. You have an easy way to get at least one spin. Talk to that woman. She's so real, so open to supporting new artists. Like Cranium Festival artists, talk to DJ Mel Boogie. Tell her Gee Wunder sent you.
And she's a big respected name in music. Period. You know what I mean?
Period.
If you get played by DJ Mel Boogie, that's a strong cosign. So yeah, that's facts, man.
Yeah, so yeah, everybody make sure you check out her set at Cranium that these guys are putting on. We're gonna go on to the last tip right now, Patrick. And this one right here is huge. This is a new one that I've added this year. This is for people that actually stuck through and stuck with us. So yeah, the 5 people that stuck with us strongly on this first thing. We see you. Shout out everybody that's online on YouTube. So this industry tip is industry tip number 24, referring to administration rights. Administration rights is probably one of the most important terms you're ever going to learn in the music industry. If you're not familiar with the idea of administration rights as it relates to the music business, you need to do some research. It's not really the most difficult term to grasp, to be honest. An administrator is any professional empowered. Sorry, let me start that again. An administrator is any professional empowered by the master/copyright owner to manage a song's or album's copyrights, interests, and create income opportunities and account for said income they earn to the master, owner, or the publisher. As a producer, I'm going to give it to you from a producer's angle here. As a producer, you should retain these rights as it relates to any song you create / produce with another artist. This will give you the option as a producer to exploit the song masters / publishing as you see fit to create income. So an administrator is just someone that has the okay to work the records and make some money out of them, monetize them. So once again, this gives the person the option to exploit the song masters or publishing as they see fit to create income, which will be shared between yourself and the artist as per a previous agreement. It might be an artist, it might be a publisher, it might be somebody else, but you have to maintain your administration rights in that song. So if I did a song with you as a rapper and you're the producer, you're going to say, G, I want my administration rights. It doesn't have to be a number. You're just going to say, I'm going to retain my rights. And if you say that to me, I'm happy, because that means to me, you're going to go and create opportunities for the song. Maybe get it sold, get it played on radio, create some way money that we can share. And then the idea is that the people that administer the song have to stay in communication and let the other people know how and where and when they're making money off of the song. So what I mean by this is, as independents, it's better if you have both the artist and the producers making moves on a recording, or the label, whoever's going to become an administrator. It doubles your chance of seeing success / money coming back from your audio efforts. So the last example I'm going to give you here is Motive Music Canada, my label, right? So we are empowered in a lot of different business in the industry right now. And we're in terms of licensing, distribution, publishing. So for all those three things, we need to have been given administration rights by the artists that make the songs or the people that own the songs. So that gives you an idea of where administration rights comes in for a label. And the thing is, yeah, because for us, especially from publishing, you have to have been giving administration rights to create opportunities for said recordings. And us, Patrick, we're in some big business with a lot of bigger artists globally in terms of publishing. So the way we do that is we kit them up and we say, we would like to administrate on your behalf. They sign off, and then we create money opportunities for the recordings. Can't hear you. And that, ladies and gentlemen, brings us to the end of the Music Industry Tips Seminar. P, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry, I was asking my son to turn something down. He has
that's okay.
He has something going on. But yeah, that the last thing about administration, that's something where I'm actually still really trying to dig in and learn some more. So I'm really happy to hear about that. And I had a question. Like, if let's just say there's an independent artist and he's collaborating with a producer and a another vocalist, and they're at the point where they do like the song sheets and the SOCAN sheets. So when they're like, recording, they assign, the percentage of ownership and whatever. Is it that step in the process where you would say who has administration rights? Would that be something you contractually agree on at that step in the process?
Exactly, that's correct. And you know what? If anybody has interest in that, that shows you that they're definitely serious about the business, even for them to ask you that, And as far as what you said about split sheets, that's a whole nother story too. As you know, last year I touched on that a little bit more in terms of like song registration and publishing, and that's a huge thing that it's not understood in the urban music realm a lot, just mainly because of when it comes to publishing. People, we all we think of in publishing is SOCAN, and even the way that SOCAN gets people to register their songs is not exactly how it's supposed to be done. So
that's why we see a lot of even Canadian artists going to ASCAP or BMI, because they're they're getting better tracking of their publishing? Is that one of the reasons? Like they're scanning?
No, it's not so much tracking, but for example, when you sign up, I'll give you an example. I have a song with this artist E3 out of the States where he registered it with ASCAP in the States, right? So here, when you register a song, you just register 100%. You tell them, me and Patrick did the song. We decided he's getting 50, I'm getting 50. We just say ownership. In the States now, when he went to register that song, he registered his side. Let's say we did it 50-50. So 50-50, right? So that means in the States, though, they give 100% to the songwriting side, and they give 100% to the publishing side, right? So, but in the States, if you don't have a publishing company set up, you can't even, whatever portion that you were gonna collect on the pub side, you don't get it.
You have to be registered as a publishing company in order
Correct.
to even collect those.
The publishing side of the song. So you understand, that's why people here, we don't understand publishing, because publishing here in SoCan is just like, oh, it's 100%, you get 50, I get 50. No, because what happens is that 100% in SoCan, half and half, it's half for the songwriters and half for the publishers. So if I did a song with you, Patrick, and then you're like, oh, we're going 50-50, to me, the level that I'm at in this business, that means you're going to get 50% of the songwriting.
Mm-hmm.
So that accounts for 50. So that means you're going to get 25 for songwriting. I'm going to get 25. The other 50% of the song is publishing money.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a person right now, if you don't tell me, Patrick, if you don't be like, yo, and my publishing company is Patrick Publishing, put my other 25 to that. If you don't say that to me, I'm going to just claim the other 50%.
Right. So
So in that case, I would really get 75 and you would get 25. Yeah. You're still getting half of your writing though.
Yes. But that's the customary, or that's the standard, right? Like a writer, like if I wrote the whole song, I would get 50% of that, not 50%, not an actual 50%. So like you said, it's actually 25.
25, correct. Yeah. Correct. Yeah, you see, and it's half of half. You see, and in the States, they don't do it. That's why it's easier to understand it a little bit. Although even in the States, these dudes don't know what's going on. Because I have artists, huge, I can't even name artists for years that had labels, and they are signed with ASCAP, and they don't even have a publishing company, bro. Imagine how much money they lost.
So I read an article somewhere a while back, a couple years back, about like money just sitting there that Spotify is holding in escrow because people haven't registered properly to collect that other half.
That's correct.
Mechanicals.
Most of the songs in the world are unclaimed. It's the same thing for YouTube, Spotify, Apple. This conversation is mad deep, and people got to pay me for this conversation because. It's a lot of money, and what you refer to as the monies is, they call it the Pandora's box. Pandora's box exists in so many different ways, from just a Canadian artist who put out a hit song, didn't register it with SoCan, and it created thousands of dollars that's just sitting there. You know, or it could be the Canadian artist that when I was on at Much, SoCan is pennies compared to what you're going to collect on the television side of royalties. So I had so many artists that used to put out songs. We run these songs all day. And you know how much because those songs, when you're doing TV, you're getting like $30 a spin. So imagine somebody that's getting 1,000 spins and they never collected a penny.
Wow.
Pandora's box.
Yeah. Your video played 3 times a day for a year, right?
And you never registered it, and that's not but you don't get that money from SoCan. People got to go in and do their research and find out all these different places where they monetize their music. If you want to holler at me, I do consults, but that's going to cost you, because the amount of money that you're going to make off of that.
Yeah. Well, and that's like you said, 20 plus years in the industry,
correct,
learning, putting in work, getting it from the ground up, you know, coming from the mud.
From the mud.
You know, no handouts. So I mean, we've just given a handout, man. Cranium Festival and Gee Wunder just gave a bunch of handouts. Actually, it's a hand up. It's not a handout. It's a hand up. You know
It's
what I
a
mean?
hand up, correct,
Yeah.
correct.
People who want to take that information and run with it, that's great. And Gee Wunder, man, let the people know how they can find you if they want to check your music, if they want to hit you up about consulting, if they want to buy one of your booklets. How they find you, man.
Appreciate that. Yeah. Once again, anything GeeWunder on excuse me, the internet anywhere around the world. That's me. That's how you get to me. I'm at Facebook.com/Gee Wunder, Twitter.com/Gee Wunder, Instagram.com/Gee Wunder, or you can hit up my label, Motive Music Canada, which I want to correct. It's actually IG at Motive Music Canada, Facebook Motive Music Canada, and Twitter Motive Canada. Right now we have probably about 12 artists, and we're global. We have artists in Canada, artists in Africa, and a few artists in the USA that released through the label. So shout out everybody on the label. As far as consulting, you can hit me up on any one of those platforms for consulting. We're also interested in meeting artists that are festival bound and festival ready, to help them secure money, like I'm doing with Cranium. Shout out Cranium for supporting my measures and my thoughts and my ideas. I got so much to share. Appreciate everybody. You can hit me up at any time. Feel free. I'm pretty open. And yeah, this is the music industry tips seminar part 2 with the Cranium Festival. Make sure you go online and just Google Gee Wunder Music Industry Tips. You'll find volume 2 online. Volume 1 you'll have to order directly from me. We got a few physicals left, not many.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, or we can send it to you as a DocX. Appreciate you, Patrick, man.
All right, Gee Wunder, man. It's always a pleasure having you on. I really appreciate you sharing your time, your wisdom, your knowledge, all your experience. It's truly invaluable. You know what I mean? And you bring a lot to the table. That's just proven by how many people watched last year's video. I'm sure there's some people who are going back to it and taking notes. You know what I mean? So
that's right.
Shouts to you. Shouts to the people who are actually taking advantage of the opportunity to dig into this knowledge and do something good for themselves and for the community with it. Shouts to everyone who supported us. I know Tanisha from Manifesto's been in the comments, Helvetica from House of Paint in the comments, the homie Jay Morris, Rookie the Kid in the comments, the Cranium co-founders all up in there. Bercier on the bass. Yeah, he's a funky dope bass player from the Cap City in here. Doressa, a very dope, like soulful R&B singer, man. We're hoping that we're gonna see her on the Cranium stage sometime soon. Y'all join the Cranium Festival 2021. It's going down October 1st to 3rd. We got conference content rolling out every day until the 3rd. Appreciate everybody spending time with us. Gee Wunder, I appreciate you. Till we link up next time, man. You stay safe, bro.
One love, everybody. Big up Cranium, big up Cranium. Donno, big up Dynamic, big up all the founders, Patrick. Yo, shout out everybody, and everybody break a leg this weekend. Have a great show.
All right, peace and love.